Good afternoon, and to the audience there at large, welcome again to Next Level Advisor podcast. We today are particularly excited to have Michael Hardin from as a vice president for ANICO, and ANICO is American National Insurance Company. So, Michael, I'll be talking to you about that, but we're really excited to have you with us to kind of talk about. I think as we look at the present environment, when we see from the economy, when you see the volatility in the marketplace, plus you see the volatility with interest rates and so forth, and through some of the questions I'll be going through with you, it'll be particularly interesting to see kind of understand your perspective of what's going on within the industry. And Anico, it may not be a household name, and I would want you to kind of give some context with it. But for the audience out there, Michael Hardin is a vice president with American National Insurance Company, overseeing the channel that distributes products and services throughout the United States, both in life and annuities, but really today, predominantly, we're really looking at the annuity component of this. So, Michael, welcome to Next Level Advisor.
Thanks for having us, and we're excited to partner with Pinnacle and to be on the podcast here with you. This is just a great treat. We love doing these.
Yeah, and it's a great treat for us as well. So let's just kind of start with more around vision and strategy right now. And I think as we have seen, there's been a lot of shifts within the industry per se, with insurance companies, with annuity companies. And I think short term actually addressing short term, evaluations and assessments, and then long term. Can you give me your perspective as far as where Anico fits in all this, and kind of what are some of the trends that you're seeing within the industry that particularly makes you feel that you're uniquely positioned to assist advisors throughout the United States?
Yeah, appreciate that, and it is one of those. It is kind of one of those very interesting times in the economy and for people and all those things. And interest rates. Any day you check them, and for those listening, the insurance industry kind of pegs its uh, interest rates and things to the 10-year treasury. And you see that on the news all the time. You see, the administration will say one thing and the bond market rallies, or says another thing and the stock market, falls or rallies. It's one of those things, the kind of the yo-yo effect of it has clients on all sides of the fence really searching for answers, right? And you know, even though we've been around, since 1905 as a carrier, our new ownership, Brookfield Wealth Solutions, is really a a super strong player in the retirement services industry. They see the need. They understand how to build products, build things that will benefit the end consumer, which in turn, like you just said, will benefit the advisors. And just some of the underlying strategies now that Brookfield has put into place in our portfolio, and how we manage things, is going to allow us to, short and long term. Now there'll be blips in it, as always. There's just always a blip or two in it now, but we'll be able to hold interest rates on our true fixed products. We're going to be able to, with designs, hold caps and participation rates on our index products. The Truly, the investment expertise that Brookfield brings behind the scenes that nobody ever sees is what you're going to see come through in all of our products for clients.
So, Michael, a great kind of segue as we look at inflation, we look at the interest rate environment per se, and have you seen a change in the conversations? I think for the audience out there, the advisors listening, are you seeing that there is from what they're hearing from clients, obviously concern about inflation and concern about interest rates? I dare say a lot of conversations around the tariffs and those implications.
I'm
So,
sure.
can you, from your perspective, how do you see Anico playing in that arena, and how do you see delivering to some of those concerns around inflation, interest rates, and so forth, and the normal conversations that advisors will have per se with their clients? How do you see that working for you?
Well, and and I think that's it's one of those things. As you can tell from the gray around the sides, I've been at this a while, and so I often say that, like CNBC should really be outlawed. MSNBC, they're the 9.5 hour soap opera for watching the markets and all that stuff, because they've really given people the wrong terminology and the wrong thinking for their saving and their investing. I'll hear people all the time say, "Well, I'm saving my money in a 401k," and I'm like, "Well, no, you're not. Right? You're investing your money in a 401k." And I'll hear other people say, "Yeah, yeah, yeah, I'm invested in a CD at the bank," and well, no, you're not. You're saving your money in a CD at the bank.
Right,
And
right.
and from what I've seen from the inflation and the rise in interest rates is that while the conversation about annuities and what they can do for people is no less important or no more important than it was 2 years ago, just
Hmm.
the change in interest rates and what can be done with the products has changed people's viewpoint about it. You're seeing investors come out of some of their investments because they can make the interest rates they want and come into these products. And you're seeing some of the savers that are in CDs and so forth really have their eye on some of the higher rates that the CD like products that the insurance carriers offer can provide to them. And then additionally, you couple that with the and it's a lost art, I think, with a lot of us. We kind of skim over the tax deferral thing of all these products when, especially if you're retired and you're working off of, I dare say, a fixed income. I don't know how many people are truly on a fixed income nowadays, but
Right, right. Yeah.
if you're working in that arena, and if you're not spending the interest or the dividends or the things off of your other investments, and you can put those in some of our products, we're lowering your, you know, the taxable amount on your 1040. It goes way further than teaching people the rule of 72. And I just think a lot of people have woken up recently and are paying more attention to the difference between investing and saving and what they can do in our industry.
So a really good segue there about investing and saving and even the awareness that consumers are having and even advisors of this. I know that ANICO, as you mentioned, is under a kind of a new leadership, ownership, if you will, that's happening with that. And that normally comes about with something that I think ANICO has been known for around innovation, product innovation, so forth. And of course, with the kind of new leadership and ownership, can you talk about, as we've talked about, a little bit of the categories of inflation and the awareness of where annuity plays, investing versus saving. Can you talk a little bit about what's going on with ANICO in regards to any product innovations or new trajectory of resources to advisors, and more specifically, the impact that this can make on clients? Maybe talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, well, and Brookfield is really they really have a focus on it of I'm gonna call it kind of old school, right? I mean, I don't know how long lifetime income riders have been in the marketplace. It's been quite a while now, and
Mhm.
and Brookfield really, they're not a huge fan of that type of a design. I mean, as we all know that are going to listen to this, annuities first and foremost, if you just go with the definition of the word, right? It's an income stream you can't outlive. That's what annuity means, right? Well, when you defer the annuity, people always think it's tax deferral, when in actuality you're deferring that income stream. And Brookfield's of the belief that let's grow it as big and as fast as we can. And then we'll address that guaranteed income feature for all for the end users, for the clients down the road when they actually want to turn it on.
Mhm.
We've done the studies, and Limra has done the studies of lifetime income riders and those type of things, and not knocking them now. If people use them early on, they're
Sure.
fantastic. They're
Sure.
fantastic now, but we find that it's kind of like the old SPIA ratios. 76% of people said that an immediate annuity or annuitizing their annuity was one of the reasons why they bought the annuity, and 3% of them did it. and we're seeing the same numbers around the income riders. Everybody's saying, "Oh yeah, we like the fact that's on the annuity,"
Yeah.
and we're seeing less than 5% of the people actually ever turn on their income rider. And
Yeah.
and Brookfield is like, why? They'll take your money now. Those cost money. Those are a fee on your annuity. We'll take the money if you want to do that. But Brookfield's of the opinion, no, let's let's get some indexes in our products. Let's set some interest rates into places where we need them. Let's let the client pick the route they want to go and grow their assets as high as we can, and then we'll talk about their income later.
So, Michael, I love what you said about the definition on annuities and what it actually means. So that's super important. But I also want to kind of step into, when you're talking about income riders or some of the benefits and features that annuities has, and you're just lending some simplicity here, and kind of begs my question here about misconceptions about annuities by
Yep.
professionals that are actually doing the planning with clients, and I would dare say some misconceptions around with clients around what annuities are, how they operate, and things that have to have happen. So, can you talk about some of those little misconceptions there, and probably for the benefit of the audience, kind of clear the air on what it is and what it's not?
Well, yeah. Oh God. And let's start with a client one first, right?
Yeah, yeah,
That may resonate up through the masses and some of the advisors as well. And it's some of those talking heads you see on TV and some of these quote client experts that have really made a lot of the public think that annuities are expensive and they all have fees, and you're crazy for putting your money in them because you're just feeding the carrier. When now on the variable side of things, that might be the case. I mean, I've seen over the years some variable products have you know, some sizable fees and stuff in them. But where we all work and live, there's absolutely not a single, unless you purchase the income rider now, right?
right, right.
There's not a fee on anything that we offer to folks, right?
Hmm.
And so for people to just automatically do that, they hear the word annuity and go, "Oh, no, 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 I don't want that because it's chock full of fees." That's one of the biggest misconceptions I know in the general public that's out there.
Right.
From an advisor standpoint, um, and I used to have my securities licenses and all that stuff now, so I can talk from a spot of not poking everybody in the forehead.
Yeah.
A lot of advisors just think they can do a better job than what the annuity can, and maybe some can't and some can. But the one thing that they can't do that all of our products do is they all can't protect that client from a loss.
Right.
And when you can link your income wagon, let's say, to an index that's inside of one of the annuities, one of the major features of that is you're never ever going to lose a penny to the market. You're just not going to lose, right? And if people understand the fact that if you lose 50%, you have to make 100 to get back even, they understand that the losses in your money and in your portfolio are far more impactful than, I'm making a number up now, than that
Right.
25% gain, right? If you're knocking down sevens, eights, and nines consistently without losses, I'd ask them to check their math now and see which one's going to come out better in the next 10, 12, 15 years. That,
Yeah. So zeros, there isn't anything below zero. We're not talking about negatives. If
yeah,
I'm hearing you correctly, that's some of the features of the annuities you're referring to. You've got
yeah,
that downside protection. You certainly have the kind of the upside opportunities there too. But
back
in any given a loss would be just a zero. You wouldn't.
back to kind of that investor versus saver. All of our products are savings vehicles. They're not investments. And
Yeah.
when you're a saver, you're not risking your money. So you're just, all right, 1 year you might not make interest. Well, okay, but you didn't lose anything either. So you're a
Yeah.
saver.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah. And let me shift a little bit with that now with the advisors. Can you speak to any potential like new tools or new platforms? That are happening within the company right now that you would see that would enable advisors to be better positioned to be with their, working with their clients? Can you talk a little bit about what do those resources look like for advisors
Yeah.
to engage their clients in this era? We're in this world of AI and different greater efficiencies, and just curious what's on the track there with ANICO specifically on around innovation and technology for advisors.
Well, more so on a technology side of things. Now, it'd be more on our ease of doing business. Now we've got some product innovation I can touch on in a second, but to stick with
Mhm.
the technology kind of part of it, Used to run an agency, and used to sit across the desk from my VP, Craig Klink, and I would tell him all the time, I'm like, make my business easy. Right? We're all running a business. We can, show virtually anything we want to a client, right? I mean, but if you can't get your business done, and we've spent countless millions of dollars over the last couple of years upgrading all of our technology inside. Our and Firelight's kind of the state of the art thing, and it's
Mhm.
kind of the standard at the moment.
Yep.
But there are so many different levels and knobs and stuff you can pull in that to make it even function that much better. We just rolled out 15 new enhancements yesterday to our Firelight, and if the advisors are using that platform with us, we are immediately in the system, same
Yeah.
day on transfers, drafting cash with app for folks. I had an advisor the other day submit an app at 9 o'clock. We had it all issued, ready to go by the end of the business day. It drafted that night and issued the next day. And then we pay daily commission. So if that was, let's
Wow.
just say that was today, like Wednesday, he got paid on Friday.
Wow.
And so that stuff of ours is just is running wonderfully smooth for the advisors, bringing the electronic delivery if the folks like that. Some do,
Mhm.
some don't. But we're eventually going to have it to where it's if you like a paperless experience, you're going to have an electronic app. Everything's done electronically with us, and we'll put the PDF of your policy in your back office, and you can print it if you want, or you're going to have it like that. And we're looking to make that efficient now from an advisor standpoint.
So
Uh,
great efficiencies for the advisor, streamlining those processes. The ease of doing business is what you're subscribing to, and then from a client perspective, you're lending options to how they're receiving documents, how they're executing their contracts, how they're receiving their contracts, whether it be paper, whether it be electronically. So just on both ends, you're creating efficiencies and ease of receiving
yeah,
kind of contracts to the clients and the ease of doing business for the advisors. You,
yeah,
you, you
yeah,
mentioned about product innovation,
yeah.
some product innovation. Maybe step into that for me for a little bit.
Well, and on two sides of that too. Now I'll give you a true fixed annuity, a CD like experience, and then I'll give you the FIA one we just launched yesterday. Um, so on the CD side of things, you find, well, when I say CD side of things, for everybody listening, I'm sure they already know this, right? But a true multi-year guaranteed annuity, a true fixed annuity, functions like a CD offered by an insurance carrier, right? That's why I'm
Mhm.
calling it CD like. And
Mhm.
so many folks, don't spend the interest off of their CDs, whether they have them in IRAs or whether they have them being non-qualified, and so forth. And by removing a liquidity factor from our kind of industry leading rate on our MIGA, we were able to put 15 extra basis points in the rates for that. And so it's not a lot, that's just a pure spread game, like but
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
people that look at it and go, no, I'm just going to let it sit there. Then why do they care about us having to worry about a 10% withdrawal feature, and we're going to give them, an extra interest rate on it?
Right.
Right. And now on the index side, where you should over time, do a little better than the fixed rates, uh, our new Smart Start one, and I know I'm not on here to promote the product now with you, but I
Mhm.
think the biggest thing it has that gives clients and advisors an advantage is it has a 90-day best entry window at the beginning of it for clients. So, so think about it a little bit from an investing standpoint. So you're always wondering when you should buy, when you should not buy, and in traditional thinking out of the investment world is you dollar cost average. They're just like, hey, you got the money
Yeah,
to do it with it, and over time it'll average out.
yeah.
Well, you can't always do that with your annuities, and so when you purchase our Smart Start, we watch every index that you've allocated to for the next 90 days. We pick the lowest value on that index during that 90 days, bring it back to your issue date, and we let you start indexing that first year from the lowest value each and every one of your indexes has. And that's we may be the only carrier that has that feature, especially with all the other parts on that product. We may be the only carrier in the marketplace that has that. And again, to Brookfield's focus on accumulation, we thought that was a prudent thing to do, give everybody the best starting point and let them go from there.
Which is That's certainly innovative. I mean, you're alluding towards market timing and looking, and this is something that investors will do. We've all tried when is the best time, to both buy and to sell. So it's really from a capacity perspective, and just as a value add to a client and an advisor, to be able to have that 90-day window where a lot of that is being done for you, so that the most opportune time for it to be actually purchased, if you will, is being
Right.
done at that time. So that's really creative and innovative for sure. So let me my last question here, Michael, as we kind of look at. So, what do you? And you've been in the business for, as you mentioned, for some time here. So when you look ahead, the next year, 18 months, kind of what about the future of what you're doing with ANICO, what you see ANICO doing, and maybe even as an industry, kind of maybe share what you're most excited about in the year and the year and a half ahead of us.
Uh, well, I'm really excited about some of the innovations that are coming to us from the indexing strategy standpoint. I mean, annuities. I mean, annuities at their skeleton, they're all the same. It's like me and you. We got all the same bones, all the same stuff, and we look a little different on the outside, right?
Yeah.
So annuities are annuities are annuities. And so what are the little particulars around the outside going to be? And one of the things that really drives the indexing world, and the most popular index, to be honest with you, is just the plain old S&P 500, right? People know it, people trust it. Except now, when you talk with the folks at S&P, they will tell you that the S&P 500, they call it the ecosystem surrounding the S&P 500 itself, was not built for this industry, was not built to be used like this. The options markets and the things that work with that just aren't built to function in this. And
Right.
so S&P is bringing out new indexes that are meant to mimic and mirror the S&P 500 itself. Invesco has brought out a QQQ index, which I think lots of us have heard about their EFT with that ETF, exchange traded fund
Yeah.
ETF with that, right?
Yeah.
And I'm very excited about the innovation that's going to come from those that we can package properly, and then and let the clients benefit from having those drag their money up when the market goes up, and then keep all their money when the market goes down. I'm really excited about
Mhm.
that.
So excited! I'm listening to you, and one of the things I can hear that your company, yourself, and the new leadership subscribes to is consistency in the deliverable of products. And then what you're doing is really looking at the chassis as they exist today, to really benefit the client, to really position the advisor in the best way possible, so that their offerings and the services they're doing is just not thoughtful, but it's also delivering something that's meeting and exceeding the needs, and really doing it under the chassis of the annuity. But so looking at the things you do well and the things you can continue to tweak to make it a value add to the client experience. That's terrific, Michael. Listen, I want to thank you for joining me today, this afternoon, and addressing our audience. And again, I think we'll be meeting again, having you coming back on the
Good.
podcast
Would love
to
to.
see we would love to have you come back. But with that said, I want to thank you for joining us this afternoon, and look forward to further conversations with you. Thank you, Michael.
Thanks a lot for having us, and we look forward to being back with you. Thanks everyone for taking time today.